In this episode of Project Carhaven, I remove well-worn parts and replace them with new ones, use my favourite tool, a ball peen hammer, use a paint tray to remove paint, perform certified rebuilding techniques, and actually follow some instructions for a change. Welcome back to Project Carhaven, where today I'm going to be throwing some stuff away and refurbing the rest and fixing this whole front end. Parts for the bin are these strut tops. The bearing in here is completely rusted out and seized, and the other one is very crunchy. The new one, much better. And the front discs, which are not in great shape either, but they don't cost much, so that's good. Some parts just need cleaning up and repainting, like the brake dust shields, the Undertray and the Swaybar. Some parts require further disassembly. Remove that so I can get the ball joint out, remove the bush, clean up, paint, and the hubs will require some disassembly, have the bearings replaced and a new seal as well. Alright, get this old bush out of the arm with a bit of persuasion. I think I do need to save the inner sleeves out of these and reuse them because the other kit doesn't have any. No, I'm mistaken. It does have the sleeves with these bushes. Let's try and make sure these are all engaged. Fairly important. There we go. It's a bit of lubricant there. Circlip on the top side. See if I can get it off with this. Repeat for the other side. Now, I'm very aware that life would be much easier if I had a hydraulic press or a parts washer, but I don't even have a shed and I don't have room for those tools. You know, maybe one day, but for now, I've got to work with what I've got. Well, the parts cleaned up okay in the cleaner, but I want them to be a bit better. I've had this thing sitting in its own box in the shed for the past 2 years. Yesterday I broke it out and set it up. So with a bit of sandblasting, so it's not perfect, but it is better. And so I think that'll end up giving a better result once these get painted. So all the parts that needed sandblasting are complete. Now I just need to clean them with wax and grease remover so the paint will adhere properly. Some parts like the Swaybar I'm going to sand because they're too big to fit in the sandblaster. And I need to go and degrease the hubs and take the bearings out so they can have new bearings fitted and new seals. And I don't want the faces of those all pitted with the sandblasting, so that'll just be wire brushed. Oh, let's try and get a bulk of this grease out. Yay. Oh, this stuff smells as bad as diff oil. I'm going in nude. Don't think I'll bother mucking around this time, just straight in. Oh God. Now into the paint tray / parts washer. Leave that to soak. Passenger one at the same time. Alright, so we got just about all the parts from one side of the car laid out, ready to get coated in paint. Alright, so all the components are painted and dry. Now it's time for reassembly. So I'm going to start with the control arms and refit the bushes to those. They've got to get the bushes out of the packet. We got some instructions, bit of installation grease. There we go. Let's use a small paintbrush to put some grease on the inside of the bush. The bolt will push the rest of that grease out and get rid of it. On to the next one. Well, it just popped in on its own. Isn't that nice? No, didn't even need the vise for that one. Just put it in by hand. Now fit new ball joints. Might help if I take this and put it in the vise. So fast forwarding, that's the ball joints fitted. So clips are now put in place to hold the ball joint into the arm. Nah, the pin just fell out. And a grease nipple added to the bottom. Now with the bushes and ball joints fitted to the lower control arms, I'm just going to mount them back up into the car and get them off the ground out of the way and start moving stuff back where it belongs. So just have it hanging out of the way. I'm only doing this up finger tight for now. It'll be tightened to torque spec once the car's back down on the ground and the suspension's all settled. So I've got some shorter shocks to pair with the lowering springs. Sorry, this is the original broken one. And this is the new one. As you can see, the body's actually a fair bit shorter. If I bring them up level, the travel for the piston's also shorter. These shock absorbers are to suit the rear of an SW20 MR2, but now they're going to live in the front of a TA22. The shorter body of the shock doesn't suit the strut. So all I'm going to do is drop a few washers in the bottom to space it out, so then it will sit in there firmly. It won't have any knocking noises while driving around. I think 5 will do it. These KYB shocks say that you don't need to fill the strut tube with oil. Some you do. So I'm going to leave it out, but I will put a bit of ATF in the bottom just so it's protected against any moisture causing rust in the bottom of that strut tube. Yep, plenty. Excellent. Now I'm waiting for dust boots and bump stops for those. This one's, I mean, okay, I guess. The other one, the dust boot's completely missing, so won't be able to go any further on the struts. I'm going to carry on with the other things for now. Working on the hubs, got the front and rear bearing and a seal for the rear. Got to pack these bearings first before fitting them to the hub. So I think I'm just going to use the old racers. They don't feel like they've got any marks. They seem to be in good condition. They're not scratched. So it's a matter of getting these bearings now packed with grease. And I'm going to do it the old school way, by hand. Oh. Nice big lump of grease onto the palm. And it's just a matter of working the grease into the bearing by pushing it in. It does tend to make a bit of a mess, but what I'm looking for is pushing the grease from the bottom, see it worm its way out of the gap in the top of the bearing here. Take that away. See this fine lip of grease just here? Means that the grease has gone all the way through the bearing and we're good. I know it's very messy, but it works. You need to grease up the inside of the hub. I only want to half fill that. You don't want it completely packed full. Get the seal in. It went in pretty well by hand, actually. Oh, this bearing might fall out, but I need to flip this now so I can fit the brake rotor onto this. So while working on the hubs and rotors, parts delivery. The bump stops and dust boots have arrived, so I can continue on with the shock absorbers now. All right, gonna prep the springs for fitment. Too tight? Maybe. And just to be sure, put some grease in this cap. Slowly getting through the pile of parts to go back on. Next thing I think I'll put on is the Swaybar. The bushes are already lubed. It's just a matter of fitting them to the Swaybar, then mounting the bracket, and then we'll move on to the end links. No way of pushing these on. Can I go by the end? Probably not. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it that way. Bit of installation grease, bit on there, bit on there, bit on here. Same goes for here. Well, that was more difficult than it needed to be, but the sway bar is on. Last item on the agenda for suspension is the tension rods, or stabilizer rods, strut rods. Stock measurement is 82 millimeters from here to the tip of the rod, which I have adjusted on both. Now it's a matter of fitting the bushes. The instructions dictate that there's a male and female bush and the direction that they need to face to be installed correctly. So I will copy this, and hopefully they go on a lot easier than the sway bar did. Some installation grease placed on all the metal surfaces that actually touch the bushing. Try the other way maybe. Now those bolts are in, I'll get them tightened to correct torque spec. Torque spec for these is between 29.8 and 38.9 foot-pounds. The torque for this one's roughly between 54 and 79 foot-pounds. I am going to have to use an extension because I just don't have room to fit the head of the torque wrench in there. I've got a long way to go. It's alright, I'll be redoing the other side anyway because I put these plates on the wrong way. Oh, I think I need a break. Making mistakes. Now I've got to put the Undertray on. This is actually the first Celica I've ever owned that's had one of these in place. Normally they're missing. I don't know if they're all supposed to come with them. All of mine didn't, except this one. Well, that's probably enough for this episode. In the next one, I'm going to work on steering components, rebuild the brake calipers, change the engine mounts, do some more engine-based stuff, and maybe even start the interior. See you in the next one.